Welcome back to another review and feedback. Today, we're going to do another game of TVP. We're going to actually do a lot of TVPs for the next few matches. Really, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring the Mech matchup against Zerg and how Zergs can beat the Mech players. That being said, there's going to be opportunities for the Terran to be able to come back, maybe take some wins off the match, all those other wonderful things, but we're just going to have to hit up. Sorry, I'm downloading all the files right now. So we're going to have quite a few games that are queued up for the next week or so, several weeks rather, about it. I believe almost all of these are with the same player. Yeah, all of them are with the same player. They did make some comments about which play they were doing and all that kind of stuff, but I read them, but I'm not associating them with the game that we did that with, specifically because there's a lot of them, and so I kind of also want to go into it a little bit unknowing. That being said, this is going to be of a higher caliber player. This person that has been submitted all of these is about a 5K Zerg, so we're going to be looking at the M1 GM level of play, and that little bit of skill area we just want you all to be aware of. That this will be a little bit more advanced play, and so scouting is very important, and seeing what's going on is extraordinarily important as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the first game. Got all the screens doing all the funny things. I don't know why it decided to go to that screen. That's weird. I'm working on fixing it. We'll resolve it. This is not the screen I want it to go to. Video capture. No, that one. Display capture. This is on the wrong screen. Automatic. Cancel. Display capture. Auto. Primary. Thank you. And there we go. So you can see there's a whole bunch of them there. All right. Sorry for that little bit of a glitch. We're going to go back to the beginning. Start it all over. So Eftoo, get it? Eftoo is Eftoo. Is playing the Zerg. He's the one that has submitted all of these into the Zerg subreddit. And this is GuySensei, who is one of the players that he's going to be playing against. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of repetition with these matchups. This one is a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, but we do know that at an almost GM level, we can see kind of the level of play. Because we are going to be scouting the Terran, we want to see what the Terran is doing so we know exactly what we're looking for. In this instance, the Terran is, I think that might be a proxy, which, nope, it's command center first. So in this instance, you have to send a drone out to scout it. Chances of you being able to do that and seeing what's going on, pretty slim. Not very many Zergs do scout with their drone at the beginning. This is a different build order that I've not seen in a long time. Not a bad build order by any means. The downside with this build order is you don't have an orbital for a very, very, very long time. Because obviously your barracks is under construction after your first command center is being constructed. It is very good because you can wall off. So there is, for those of you that don't know, you can use the escape or tab halt command and then recommand your unit to work on the unit and or the building rather, and it'll make it so that they go through the wall. So that if you're getting attacked with like an early lane rush and you still get this wall up, you don't necessarily lose the SCV immediately. You have the ability to get it behind that wall and protect yourself a little bit. Extremely economic build. Extremely economic build. You can see that he's already getting orbital commands. Has the wall up. Doesn't have any units. There should be a Marine or a Reaper coming out here shortly to protect it. There's their Marine. And you can see he's already gathering minerals off that natural. So he's on 3 base while his opponent is on 3 base as well. You can see the Zerg's response after scouting it is to immediately throw down a third, send the Lings across the map immediately, so that way that they are able to do some damage to this wall, try and slow it down, make sure that they actually have to be honest, build that extra Marine there. But this is one of those kind of plays where it's very, very strong if you can get it down, and you're not going to get broken very quickly. There are responses that are very quick. Muta is going to be, if you are fast about it, you can cancel your metabolic boost, put down your layer immediately, gather a couple more gases, and then go for Spire. your opponent will probably go very quickly into Thors or very quickly into a bunch of Marines, bunkers, that kind of stuff. Roaches is another play where you can do Ravager Roach. You can pile down the wall, attack the wall without them being able to shoot your units, kill the repairing units as they have to repair the wall, and that way you can get an advantage with that. Or, as a tertiary option, you can go and grab an additional hatch, go for a fourth hatch, so that way you're always a base ahead, which means that your opponent is going to be struggling against, you're going to be on equal footing with their economy because they're not actually going to be able to push out for a very, very long time. Think like no earlier than 5 minutes, because obviously they're getting their first tank, and then you can't really push with a tank and some Marines. These Lings could attack this command center on this side. This bunker is, I wouldn't say misplaced, but it certainly is forcing is going to have to be managed. Overlord spotted. Marines going in to take it out. Tank's going to go up to the line, making it so that this base is all protected and good to go. That being said, being annoying is okay. What I'd probably do is throw a Ling here, put it on patrol, throw a Ling over here, put it on patrol. These other 2 Lings, put them on paths, maybe go out to this 5th base out here. Maybe something like over here or way up here. That way you can see drops if they decide to do that. You know, maybe something in this area. And that way you're completely covered and you can just greed to try and catch up / get ahead. While your opponent is still... wow, that tank is really tough. And now he knows that it's a mech. He saw the Hellion and the siege tank. His immediate response is to go get his 4th. And you can see the queen count spreading the creep. The more creep you have, the more vision and knowledge you have for how long your opponent's going to be there. That's why GMs are very, very attentive to it, and why GMs on the other side, this is the Terran, generally do their best to clean it up. The reason that in a ZVP it's not often built is mostly because the Zerg units, or the Protoss units, do not care how quickly you engage because they have zealots. Or they have blink or whatever, and it doesn't matter to them in any way, shape, or form. As you can see, a whole bunch of gases are being taken, which is a good response. Probably going to go into roaches. You can see missile attack and hydras, which is a counter to Mech. And because he did see the tank as well as the Hellion, that is a excellent response. The 3rd base is going down, while the 4th is going down. Generally speaking, in a ZVP, or ZVT, you want to have an equal, if you are on equal number of bases as a Zerg, you are actually behind. So you just have to be cognizant that you don't really... That's a nice little cute changeling, and he didn't notice it or didn't care. Full information, knows that he's going 3 factory, all that kind of stuff. We're going to see a lot of Hellions, probably continue tank production, and it's going to be a very turtley style. Back to what I was saying. Basically, because you are on an equal number of bases, mules will make it so that the Terran's ahead, and that's why you as a Zerg need to be at least 1 base ahead at all times against a Terran, assuming that they are fully saturated, right? The advantage that Zerg has is that they can produce so many workers so quickly, and so this base right here is going to be fully saturated almost instantly. As you can see, it is more than fully saturated, minus the gases, and he's already taking a 5th, while the Terran doesn't even have his 4th command center on production. Sorry, I didn't mean to zoom in there. This Overseer, I like it. It's just hanging out inside the base, getting full information on anything and everything. But that's kind of why you have to be aware of this kind of stuff. Making sure that you're really, really on top of creep spread is very important. Because this Hellion run by is going to be very scary, and you're not going to know about it until it's literally right here, with the exception of this Overlord over here. And that Hellion run by might not ever occur. Opening up pathways for the Zerg is important. The reason being is that their units like big surface areas, and they usually have a larger quantity than their opponent. That's why Zerg is like, hey, let's get into these big wide open maps. We like that. We want to make it so we open up as many paths as possible. We want to be very attentive to what's going to be happening, or be able to engage in multiple ways. That was a very, very amazing scan. All of these Lings are probably going to get caught. It's hard to say. Blue Flame Hellions are very, very, very high in damage against Lings. Oop, that was a misclick. And so you're going to lose a lot of Lings to get this, but that's a lot of Hellions, and that's a lot of value going down. I do like the army coming around the split so that there's a catch. Those Ling's actually able to get everything. So that was actually a wonderful play. But unfortunately, the Hellbat count is just grown in the time in comparison. Both players are floating a lot of money. I think that the Zerg is floating too much money because they need more gas. So those 2 extra gases that I pointed out that weren't saturated need to get saturated. Once that's taken care of, it should be okay. As for the Terran, they're floating a little bit of gas. I think they went a little bit too heavy on their Hellion count. As you can see, they just don't have enough tanks. They didn't get any Banshees, right? One of the counters to Mech is Roaches and Ravagers. So what kills Roaches and Ravagers effectively? Banshees. So you generally want 1-star port with one with a tech lab on it, explicitly from the perspective of you're able to. I like this wall. This is a really, really nice wall. I like how it's being punished. On the other side of the map, Hellion's doing a run by. This is the scary part. You got to be really, really careful about losing a lot of drones and all that kind of stuff to Hellions because of, ooh, what a surround. Because they're so fast and they can get out, and the tank count is just astronomical. At this point, Mutas, as I talked about earlier, is a great choice. You can continue to bile down, losing 1 or 2 Ravagers, grabbing a siege tank each time, every other time. The downside is that you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be losing that. So you want to have an economic advantage. If you can help bile down other things like the orbital, that's going to be very powerful. This is not something you're going to want to break. Generally speaking, there's just too many tanks. What is that, 12 tanks? That's a lot. That's a lot of tanks. But as a Zerg, doing things like slowing down their expansion after the fact, making sure that you're doing things to be annoying, continuing to grow on your own map. All of these are very powerful. Killing that command center because they're only on 3 base, they need to have another one. That's very expensive. Like doing things to slowly chip away is very important here. And you can see the Overseer like, hey, let me go check it out. And then puts slow on the factory. As you can see, he's going for mutas. It's going to just be a little bit before it gets there. Killing another tank, yet again, expensive. We talked about that. Another orbital has gone down. All the gas. Oh, they're unsieged. This is when you pounce. You want to get on top, get as much done as you can, kill as many tanks. They're very bulky, hard to maneuver. They stink against Lings when they're like that. This is an extremely valuable trade for Eftoo. The reason being is because he has a better income. So what he's done is he's not reset, but definitely reduced his opponent's tank count and gotten rid of all those Hellions. You can see the supply difference at 167 to 123. The tanks siege back up, set themselves back up in this position, and you can see that we're going to get another wave. I like the worker long-distance mining that is happening. Unfortunately, you can't protect it, so they're going to eventually shut that down. You're going to lose all that stuff. There's so many tanks, my goodness. Getting inside of the next to the tanks, they'll shoot themselves. It's very, very, very smart move. Using roaches and lings which are very cheap units to kill very expensive units is always nice. I don't know if I would have thrown away the full army for that, but well, it wasn't even the full army. I mean, getting the energy for the infestors, keeping the tank count down. I think that was actually an okay play. Thors are very, very slow, so this is having movement speed for your Overlord is great. I like both, having the Overlord and the Ling. Let's be as annoying as possible. That's a really good play. And then they're going to go try and place this down, and it won't go down because they can't. And then they're going to have to scan, which is expensive yet again. So Mech is the Zerg is about to max out, which is great. Ooh, grabs all those tanks and Thors with MCs, and then just crushes through the army. This is very difficult to do if you don't know how to do it effectively. I really do appreciate that. That was really, really nice. They used their burrow ability. They crawled all the way across the map, made sure they collected as many of the Thors that they could grab effectively in a couple of tanks. This army is going to go down, and it looks like we're going to have a GG shortly because the Terran cannot afford to expand because Zergling just being annoying. as well as the block over here. So this is going to have the same problem. Doesn't have his workers all mining properly. See the Ling run in. We're going to pick up what we can. Cyclones, not a good choice against Lings. Against Roach Ravager, you need to be across the map fighting with it. Ravager is great against the Thors because they're just so bulky they can't move out. The Banelings against the Thors and tanks, I don't know about that, but it definitely did get the Hellions. That was great. So we're looking at a almost full army reset and then going into lower tech units just because of the cost efficiency or the cost position that this Terran is in. Oh man, if you had burrowed that, that would have been really mean. Already denying the base. No workers here because he decided to go long distance. Not enough in this base. Oversaturated here. So in this situation, what's going to end up happening is that Roach. I'd burrow the damaged one. That's more fun. Because they actually regen their health. Roaches, when they're burrowed, have a very high regen rate. But in this situation, the Terran might as well GG. They're very, 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 very far behind. The only way they're going to come back is if they do like spectacular drops. They do some stuff to deny the income that the Zerg has exploded in. The Zerg should continue to creep spread. I know why they're not. They're just basically like, this game is over. I just need to get through the end of it. And obviously it ended. But I strongly recommend to continue to do those things like creep spread across the middle of the map. The reason being is you never know if you're going to run into an opponent that had a hidden base, right? They might have snuck a base somewhere that you didn't see. This position in particular, I don't really see a lot of scouting going on there. This base in particular, I didn't see a lot of scouting going on there either. And that way you have you can deny bases, have full creep spread, your units get across the map faster. Do not throw away the fight to creep spread, but if you are in a lull, do the creep spread, right? Like pull your army just back a little bit tiny further, leave a Ling or two out there so that way you get an alert that you're being attacked. I don't know. I'm so tired of that getting light in my eye. I'm sorry. But that way you have the ability to articulate. You could keep spreading that creep very effectively and aggressively against your opponent. The Terran, things that they needed to work on was expanding to their fourth earlier. So we're going to go ahead and chat, right? So things to improve for the Terran. You need to expand to your fourth earlier. You need to do more push-outs sooner and more often. So that bank of minerals that you had at one point, and then it became a gas bank, that needs to be also fixed. But those two things, those three things in combination were the reason that you fell behind. You didn't know how many bases your opponent was on. You didn't know that you needed to expand. You didn't know that you needed to attack. You didn't know how strong their army was, except for when they were down your throat and you were just trying to survive, and they did a really good job of putting a lot of pressure on you. And I do like that backstab during that. That was really good, having the run-by occur. But just having the the concept of like, oh, we're going to be in this situation where I'm being contained. Time to make it so that contain can get broken. Hellion run-bys and stuff like that is how you do that. So, that all being said, wonderful game. I'm sorry for the little glitch where I had the camera up in the wrong location, on the wrong screen, rather. It was all about World of Warcraft, so if you want to go pause and look at it, it's about specifically getting the Loyal Mammoth mount. Not that anybody that is watching StarCraft content cares. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.